Hello and welcome to this channel. My name is Kema. This is Kema DevOps. Our new approach to DevOps. What can we say after 16 years of implementing and practicing DevOps? What is the state of DevOps? Can we safely say that DevOps has changed the way we build software? Let's try to understand that. What about reverse engineering DevOps? What about having something different? What about bringing a different approach to DevOps compared to what we have been done since 2007? What have we learned from different industry? Why don't we have a standard practice in DevOps? Well, today we have a small discussion about that. Our agenda today have a couple points: DevOps Overview, DevOps Principles, DevOps RoadMap, DevOps Standardization versus Accounting Principles, DevOps Metrics, DevOps Training, DevOps Overview. So early in 2007, Patrick Dubois in Belgium organized this event called DevOps Day, and that was to find a way to understand or to bridge communication gap between developers and operations. After that, DevOps world was born and it has been used since. But it has gone through a major challenge based on the industry. But if you recall, DevOps is mainly a culture just to bridge operation and development team together, just to have that communication and having ongoing feedback on what is building or what is running on the operation side. So that was the main goal of DevOps, just to solve that issue, that communication bridge. But it also relies to a couple principles that are the foundations of DevOps. So the core principle of DevOps is collaborations, automations, continuous testing, monitoring and logging, feedback loops, deployment orchestration, scalability and flexibility, security, culture and communication, and continuous learning. As you can see, so the goal here is to break down silo communication and to have that mutual understanding of what is happening from getting a requirement to delivering the piece of software. So that is the main goal here. But to get there, we need a lot of steps. We need a lot of collaboration. We need a lot of people that intervene. So therefore, we need to facilitate how we address, how we communicate. And that's how things like automations, continuous testing, CI/CD pipeline comes in together, just to have a way of accelerating things and getting feedback as soon as possible. But also remember that DevOps has a roadmap. So the roadmap of DevOps, and it's kind of very challenging sometimes when you see somebody or a new learner coming into DevOps spectrum. Sometimes they are not even aware that there's a DevOps roadmap, and start learning from right to left, and then at the end get burned out just because you don't know. There are many tools to learn, and sometimes it is really hard to really focus on one tool when you know that people who are practicing give you this tool or that tool. So it's kind of very hard to really pick a specific one and get. So when we look on this website like roadmap.sh, we can find out that there are lots of resources there, but some people are not even aware of this one. So let's make sure that we have understanding on that one. And we have a roadmap of many roles here in IT spectrum. So let's check for DevOps. So DevOps, what is it? So based on the recommendation here, it has a couple tools that you should, the learning curve that you should follow. Starting from a programming language like Python or Go, operating system, Linux and Windows, and learn and live in terminal. Going back here, you have a version control, VSC hosting, what is and how, and also Linux. So a great website like roadmap.sh has great resources on how to start. But the thing here is like, remember, this is based on based on some people's opinion. So this is not standardized. So this is just how they think that, okay, if you go this route, you should be much prepared to handle a DevOps role, depending on where you are coming, the industry we are coming from. So as you can see, it has a purple is a personal recommendation, and green is an alternative option. So a programming language should be also the basic one, like you should learn Python or Go. An operating system, you should learn Linux or Unix and also Windows. Now going to the version control, how can you learn that one? So there are many things here. So if you are in the terminal, make sure that you understand process monitoring, performance monitoring, network tools, and test manipulation. Going back here, you have version control and also how to host version control like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. And also, how can you script on PowerShell or Bash scripting or Vim as well? And how to set up a container or a load balancer on a caching server, firewall, forward proxy and reverse proxy, and also something like Nginx as well. And other end, understand container like Docker, and also understanding getting a knowledge of cloud like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and networking and security protocol like as you can see, DNS, SSH, SSL, and all the way down here. So we have serverless like AWS Lambda, Cloudflare, infrastructure provisioning like Terraform, CloudFormation, or Pulumi, or Azure Resource Manager, or Azure Bicep, or Azure template. Yes, that's it. And configuration management like Ansible, Chef, and some CI/CD tools like GitHub Action, Circuit CI, Jenkins, secret management like Vault or AWS Secret Manager, infrastructure monitoring, Prometheus, Grafana, Datadogs, application monitoring, New Relic, Datadog, Jagger, log management, Elasticstack, Loki, container orchestration like EKS, AKS, Fargate, and artifact management is Artifactory, Nexus, and CloudSmith. Also, going back, you have a GitOps like Argo CD, Service Mesh like ETO console, and also Kubernetes for orchestration, and Docker Swarm, and also Cloud Design Pattern. So you see that this is very, very big. This is very deep to understand. So it's going to take you more time, especially when you have many tools. So how will you learn? You don't know which industry you'll be working in. So how will you really learn from this? But now, if you go back into a beginner, if you're a beginner, so there's a beginner version here that you can follow, which is still going back to a programming language, Linux, networking and protocols, Docker, Git, AWS, Terraform, Ansible, GitHub Action, and Nginx. And you keep, so this is ongoing training. So ongoing, remember DevOps is continuous. So everything is, so this is a part of continuous learning. So this is something that you have to keep in place, in mind, every time that you are thinking about it. So this is just to give you an overview about how to start on DevOps. Just to understand the roadmap and base your learning curve on this roadmap. On the roadmap, I will recommend this one if you are blindly new. But it's an issue. So if you are going to a different industry, or if you are working in the same company for consulting, for instance, two projects are never the same. So tool chain from this project might not be the same on the other projects. That's the big deal. That's a big issue in DevOps right now. And that's what I'm trying to address here, to see how can we standardize what is happening. How can we say, okay, based on this industry, these are the recommended tools that you can use and have that as a standard. That's my goal of this presentation. So as you can see, we have a lot of tools to learn. We have a lot of, you will burn out very quick because there are a lot of things to learn. And therefore, how can you really narrow down? Is that So you will get questions sometimes, am I really good on this one, or what am I even doing here? Just because you have a lot of tools to learn, you don't really know which one to focus on. But what can we do about this? This is a problem that we have been facing for the last 16 years since DevOps was introduced. So why don't we do something about it? So let's understand what is happening here. So the entry level here, roadmap should be, it's as you will see previously on the roadmap.sh. You start from programming language, Linux, networking, protocol, and Docker and Kubernetes, Git and cloud, Terraform, Ansible, GitHub Action, and Success. But it's not it, because there are many tools that are not mentioned. They're not mentioned here. So you have to find out those tools. So, but I will say that this is just an entry level. But let's understand that we have a continuous learning path that is up. So we have to keep that in mind all the time. That okay, what can we learn? What is up? What is new? Now, I want to bring something very special here. I'm accountant, but I merged. My career transition happened many years ago, but I have a degree in accounting, so therefore I understand very well accounting, and I also practice accounting before I move into IT industry. So, but there's in accounting, for instance, there's something called accounting standard or accounting principles. That's how we do business in accounting. That's the type of things that we should be thinking about DevOps. When we talk about DevOps, what is the standards? So let's find out. Is there any standard? Are there any standards on DevOps, or can we get together and have a standard and make sure that okay, from now, 5 years, 10 years from now, we have these standards. So that's why I'm trying to bring this to try to compare these two fields that highly regulated. DevOps also is software, so we have to make sure that okay, the tools that we are using are also regulated as well, are also standardized. So DevOps standards, but there's no standard in DevOps. DevOps just based on principle or frameworks. So there's none for now. So the framework we focus on now is like IT for Information Technology Infrastructure Library 01, NIST, COBIT, SAFE for Scale Agile Framework, and DevOps Institute Scale Framework, and the 3 ways from Phoenix Project. So iterate, learn, and what do you apply what you have learned from your mistake, and the DevOps Enterprise Forum. So these are the framework that are in place to guide DevOps best practices. But you can see that it's not really organized. It's not collaborative. It's not. We understand that. Yes, DevOps is open source. Many tools are open source, but okay, let's make sure that we have that standard. It doesn't matter if it's open or commercial, but let's make sure that we have that standard. And how can we learn? How can we reverse engineering instead of going from the way we have been doing this last 16 years? How can we go from those who have been practicing since that time and get all the data from them and implement something that standardize things based on practicing, not starting from what we have been learning the last 16 years. So my goal here is to understand how can we go in this specific industry and survey all those who have been working there to gather their feedback and apply that in the standard in that industry and keep it as one standard for this type of industry practicing. If you want to implement DevOps, these are your standard. These are the tools that we recommend for you to implement DevOps to be successful in your organization. Now, in accounting principle or accounting standards, we have international financial reporting standards. This is a set of accounting practices that are developed and used worldwide. So let's see, for instance, if you have a company based in US, and the same company has another it's in Europe and in Asia, in Africa. So now, how do you combine all your statement? That's how this standard was put in place to make sure that this principle, this standard are followed based on the country we are in. And therefore, when you combine all your asset, your balance statement, at the end of the year, you should have something clear just because it was standardized based no matter where you were. And the gap, which is also very important here in accounting. So general accepted accounting principle is not only in the US, it's everywhere. So when you are practicing in accounting, all this principle. In accounting, there's nothing free. That means that there's no debit without a credit. You have to, if something get out, that might be a way that thing has, that came in. If you understand, we say that if something is free, that means you're the product. So in accounting, nothing is free. That means that when there's something that has been debited, something must be credited. So that's balance. That's the equation in accounting. And that's exactly how the standard are implemented. That's the standard are in place just to prevent things from happening. And in DevOps part, we can see that there's no standard, so it becomes kind of very challenging to really have, even to measure the metrics of DevOps. Now, and also in accounting, we also have this principle called GAS. So this is a general accepted auditing standards, set of systematic guidelines used by auditor to ensure that the audits are conducted with integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism. So that means that if I'm auditor, IT auditor or accountant or accounting auditor, so these are the principles that I abide by. I therefore buy them. So if these are not in place, if I don't follow this, I'm not going on the right direction. Therefore, I will be punished. My license can even be taken out just because of that I did not follow the principle, and that is going to give more bad information out there, and also affect our decision making process. So these are things that we should think about it also in terms of DevOps. Now, yes, we have a DevOps. How do we measure DevOps? When we have a plethoric tool out there, how do we really make sure that our processes, our system in place is really running properly, is really working the way we are expecting? Most of the time, we focus only on the metrics for the application and the infrastructure, that we don't even measure ourselves as a DevOps success. So how can we measure that? So that's why couple metrics were born years ago, just to assure that, hey, we understand this principle. We understand that, okay, here's how we can measure the success of our DevOps pipeline. Here's how mature is our DevOps pipeline or DevOps practice in our industry. And that's why having this KPI known as a DORA, which is a DevOps Research and Assessment Matrix, those metrics were born just to see how successful is our DevOps implementation, our DevOps practices every single day based on our industry. And as you can see here, the DevOps KPI change failure rate. So this is to understand what is the percentage of deployment that result in failure or need to be rolled back, and how important is it. So this is like less failure. That means that our application is stable and reliable for deployment process. So understand this very well, because that's how we measure DevOps metrics. How DevOps has been successful, or how us as a DevOps teams, how can we really say that, okay, we have done this for the last 5 years or for the last 2 years. Here's how we measure success. So this is not about application or about infrastructure. This is how our process in place is completely working. And the deployment frequency is to how often do we deploy in production. And meaning high deployment means that we are getting product to the market very faster. And this means that our agile in place is really functioning. Agile team is really functioning just because we are getting feedback and implementing things very soon, as soon as possible. That means that customer and also stakeholder are getting satisfaction just because we are giving the best product and getting feedback and replace it and enhance the feature in on time. Lead time for changes to change. So this is the time that takes a code to go from a commit to deployment into production. So this is very crucial. So if you are talking about CI/CD here, how long does it take for a code when we commit to our main branch to go to all the way to production? That's also very important. So why? Just because we want to know that shortest time here demonstrate that our process is really working. That means that if we deploy our code, something go on production on main or in on testing, 2 days after it's going to production. That means that how often it goes means that our process is really working as expected. And the last option and the last metrics here, which is very crucial, is the mean time to recover. So when service is down, how long does it take for us to put it back on? That is very crucial. So when you have like a incident response in place, how can we really make sure that this is also really a measure? How do we recover from that incident? How do we? So all these questions should be answered before we implement our DevOps. Or sometimes you have to stop and understand that how or review this. How often have this happened? Now my approach here is quite different. So that's why I call it the new approach of learning DevOps. And the fact is there's no industry standard for DevOps. So it's non-fact. But what can we do? What about a reverse engineering? Going back, instead of starting from Linux, okay, let's go back and say, okay, are you in the healthcare system? Yes. Okay. What have you implemented in the last 5 years? What are the tools that you have been using? Are these tools stable? And survey that in corporate industry and see if that is standard. So, and make sure that, okay, the maximum, we just standardize that and say, okay, if you're in the healthcare industry, here's the tools that you will be using. Therefore, somebody learning DevOps, if he's going to healthcare, he knows that, okay, I am going here, and these are the things that I need to learn. I should be learning here to get acquainted to the tool I'll be using there. So this is something also very crucial, because you know that we have been working on this one, but there has not been time that we stopped and say, okay, is this really working? Or in this industry, what are the metrics that we are trying to accomplish here? Yes, metrics are there. Accounting metrics will be there, but us as a process improvement, as a DevOps, what are the tools that are in place? Now let's find out. So in this section, I'm trying to bring something different, so a different approach, learning and implementing DevOps per industry. So what I mean here is like, I want to know that, okay, if you're in mining company, if you are in construction company, if you are in finance, if you're in banking, if you are in insurance, if you are in consumer services, hospitalities, what are the tools that are suitable for you? Or okay, now let's ask this way. Okay, since the last 16 years you have been doing DevOps, okay, what are the tools that have been more stable? What are the tools that you like? What are the tools that you think that will need more improvement and to have it as a standard in this industry? I think that's the right question to ask. Now, if you go into healthcare industry, for instance, we should be focusing in this element. So healthcare regulation, patient data security, healthcare application testing, reliability, telehealth integration. So these are the things that we should be thinking about. So these are the main core element that our DevOps should focus on that. And then if we can have that reverse back, what are the tools that have been in place to implement this one? Are they being successful? Yes. Okay, let's take that back and put it in the market and say, okay, in healthcare system, industry, these are the tools that if you want to implement DevOps, these are the tools that has proven success. And now, based on that one, we should be able to grab those two or implement those two in the industry. Therefore, we should have in standard in healthcare industry. If we go in manufacturing industry, for instance, and what are the tools that are being used for supply chain integration, IoT industry 4.0, continuous improvement in production, real-time monitoring of production lines, robotics and automation. So what are the tools? What are the tools that we have used as a DevOps, as a developer, to really make this company, this industry successful? So let's take that back on the market and share our input, our feedback, and then we can standardize that based in for the manufacturing industry. And what are the tools that have been successful for implementing e-commerce industry? High traffic scalability, payment security, e-commerce platform testing, continuous deployment for rapid feature releases, personalization and customer experience. So what are the tools I have been using? So let's take that and get a feedback from the user or the implementer or those who are using the tools to get that back and say, okay, we have used it for the last 10 years. Here are our pro and cons, and then take it back from there and say, okay, these are the main tools. So what is the result of our survey has been, okay, these are the main tools we are using. So let's go for this to 1, 2, 3, to 4 and put that together and say, okay, this is for e-commerce industry. These are the tools that we'll be using. Telecommunication industry. So we should focus on network infrastructure as code, 5G deployment, service orchestration, security in communication network, real-time network monitoring. So what are the tools that we have been used for updating the software here or building the new software here? So the industry in this part, like Cisco, okay, we should ask, okay, what are the tools that you have been using to build all your software in all your switches or routers? How do you implement that? How was it successful? And then reverse back, get that feedback and say, okay, if you are in telecommunication to be successful, these are the tools that I would recommend for you to use it. This is also in energy industry. So what are the tools that you have been using for smart grid and IoT integration, cybersecurity for critical infrastructure, renewable energy monitoring, regulation compliance? So also SCADA. So what are the tools that you have been using? So how can we really make a success for the next generation or what is coming next to make sure that, okay, we don't have somebody who's the engineer that is burning out because of their plethora to learn, or we just trying this tool today and tomorrow we change it. So no, let's have that in mind and bring that to our leaders and see how we can have standardized tools in place to deploy in our specific industry. And that's all, guys. Thank you for your time and sharing this with me. So please, this is a survey that I will be happy that you answer. This is how we can understand how this approach is much suitable, or how can we really do that much better. And please like, subscribe, and share with all your network. Let me go over a little bit of our survey. So like I said before, so the survey is just to collect information or feedback from those who are in the industry, just to understand what are the tools that they have been using, or are you new in the sector, or what are the tools that you guys have been implementing that will help us get out of all this and understand the industry very well, and to be able to understand, think forward about standard. Yes, today we discuss more about platform engineering, but do we really believe that platform engineering will come and solve this one? Platform engineering is just, for me, my opinion, is just taking out one layer of DevOps job just by extracting the administration part of any tools that we install in our system. For instance, when a developer board in our company, how long does it take for him to start working? So how does he get his laptop set up? Does he have to go out and install things from different, grab things from Google or everywhere to install? So that's the goal, just to have an internal platform that you can just go a marketplace and grab all your tools there. So, but do we really believe that will really solve this issue? In my opinion, I will think about it, but I don't think so. So this is why we have this survey, just for you to understand that, okay, how can you define all your element here and answer this one, and then that will help us understand that, okay, what are the tools that we use in this type of industry. It's a Microsoft form, very easy to fill out. So these are couple questions here, but you feel free to really answer everything sincerely, so it can help us understand, and then we know if there's a training to address, that's how we should address based on that one. So thank you very much for your time, and refer back to get the survey code and be happy. I will be happy that if you share your feedback with us. Thank you.